Name is Jim Scudderboom. I was actually born in Holland, came here when I was 12, and I became a Canadian citizen when I was 19. Did my high school at Lachine High School, did my phys ed degree at UNB, did a BA at UNB, did an MA in Education Administration at McGill while I was working, was phys ed department head at BHS, and I've done pools ever since I was like 17, 18. I was the first assistant manager at Western Lachine the year it opened. The year all those pools opened because the lake was polluted, and they opened a whole series of pools. Like Western Lachine opened in around 1960, I believe it was. I was assistant manager. Art Henderson, who was phys ed teacher at Lachine High, was the manager of the pool that year. Dixie Pool opened the following summer. Valois opened at that time.
58?
Yeah,
58,
around then.
59, yeah.
Beau Repair opened around that time.
Sunnyside Pool.
Sunnyside Pool
Was,
opened. All those
was
pools
an early
opened
one.
because the lake was polluted. And you
Okay,
could no
so
longer,
before these pools opened up,
yeah,
where would there have been a community pool or any kind
there
of pool?
wasn't it.
It was just those bathhouses that are downtown.
Oh, you had to go to
those indoor bathhouses.
Yeah, yeah. What was the place here in? Oh gosh, not Cote St. Paul. Like there was a pool there, and there was a Verdun pool,
Yeah.
outdoor pool. We'd go swimming there, but you'd have
yeah.
to take a streetcar there
That's
to get
next
there.
to the auditorium.
Yeah, the natatorium. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I find very interesting? And I want to talk about the uniqueness of ALPS. And I
Yeah.
try to explain to people it was a blessing in disguise that
Yeah.
the water became polluted,
Correct.
is what immediately, like almost overnight,
Almost overnight,
this entire system
this whole system came up.
came up from
But it was
from Bay
volunteer.
Durfee all the way
But
down
that
to
was
Lachine.
volunteer. It wasn't the towns that did that. Okay, the towns later on, like Dorval, helped rebuild the Dorval pools, the Valois pool, the Dorval pools, and stuff like that. Point Claire helped out rebuilding pools, but the rest it was all done by volunteer work.
So how old were when you got to
I
Lachine
was
finally?
12 when I came here. I
12
was
years old.
19 when I became a Canadian citizen.
So you're 12 years old and you're jumping into high school.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so did you were you in Lachine early enough to go in the water? Was anybody going in the lake at that
we
time?
did. Stony Point. You
Which
go
is where?
swimming.
Where's that?
Okay, if you go 45th with apartments, and there's a shopping center, but if you go along, the road splits at what was a fire station, and Broadway goes one way, St. Joseph
Yes.
Boulevard goes the
Yes,
other way.
I know exactly
Right
where you're
at that point, there was Stony Point.
Oh.
And we go swimming there, or we go swimming a little bit farther west. There's a French-Canadian house, stone house, that had a stone boathouse, and we go swimming off the boathouse, and the water was crystal clear. We'd be swimming with carp this big, yeah.
So
But then the water changed.
then everything changed.
Everything changed. So Western Lachine was built. I was the first assistant manager at Western Lachine. And then I was assistant manager at LaSalle Park. The first summer LaSalle Park was open, it was an L-shaped 25-meter pool. And the next summer they built a 50-meter pool on the same deck. And 69 people went down in the deep end the first summer LaSalle Park was opened. Adults would go off the board and couldn't swim a stroke. Nobody was pulled out with a long pole with a hook. We dove off the lifeguard chair to pull them off the bottom, and nobody fought, nobody yelled, nobody screamed. 30-year-old men would go off the board and sink to the bottom, eyes wide open, and we'd go down and pick them up. Why did you go off the board when you can't swim? Well, my buddy said all you have to do is jump off the board. It was a community pool. You paid your 50 cents, but people came from all over. You had no idea as lifeguards who was going off the boards.
So what's it like In Western
You see, but
Lachine,
it was-
because
Western
nothing
Lachine
was
was-
organized yet, though, at
It
that
was a
time.
membership. You had to buy a membership to belong to the pool. So you had to buy a share, which
Right.
when
The city didn't pay anything.
no, it was all done within the community. It's same with Dixie, and you had to buy a share. And when you no longer wanted to belong to the pool, you tried to sell your share in the pool.
Dixie was like that too,
Dixie was like that too.
and Western is like that, and LaSalle Park was like that too.
No, LaSalle Park was community.
Was
that
community.
that
It
was
still
done-
is,
that was city.
Still is today,
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah, okay.
like we worked long shifts. We worked from 8 in the morning till 10 at night, like one big crummy shift. And as lifeguards, like there were days I got home, I was burnt to a crisp.
So now this is late 50s we're talking about, right?
We're talking I met Jill in 62, so 61, 62, I worked at LaSalle Park. Yeah.
At that time, I know LaSalle Park is a little different, but was anything organized between the pools in terms of
Well,
competition?
LaSalle Park became, we joined ALPS. We swam, but it was tough to get a swim team together because it was a public pool.
So who had the idea? Was the idea of ALPS?
Oh, Western Lachine was
Was
right
it there
in-
before they started building the pools, or did it happen?
It happened
because
because they built the pools.
okay,
And it is unique.
because originally it was independent communities, independent
Yeah,
associations.
but the Alps is unique. Like the level of swimming in Alps is because you had all the Point Claire swimmers, you had bluefin swimmers. Eric was in the Alps final, 50-meter breaststrokes. Next to him was
Victor Davis.
Hey, Victor Davis.
When you started at the pools,
Yeah.
no one was talking about ALPS at the time.
No.
So what was the catalyst of something is happening? There's going to be organization here between the pools.
I don't know who started it, but it started right at that time. And even Gables Court, where I've been at Gables Court since 1965, we joined ALPS as Gables Court. We had 50 kids from Gables Court that swam at ALPS. And then when we had fewer people, didn't have big families, but people had families of 5 or 6 kids, 5 and 6, 7 kids. And I had 60 kids for swimming lessons in Gables Court. And we joined up with Beau Repair. And Beau Repair was ALPS. And I timed and I did stroke and turn and all that kind of stuff. And my daughter was the last manager of the Beaconsfield Community Pool, which was behind the high school, where the Gordon Robertson Center is. The parking lot for the Gordon Robertson Center was the Beaconsfield Community Pool. But Annika was the last manager, but they were down to 25-member families, and they couldn't operate a pool with 25 families. But as Gables Court, we joined up with them to make a swim team. And
When ALPS started, first of all, it sounded like there was a lot of pools in ALPS
Yeah.
at that time. Was there an ABC standing
Yes.
at that time as well?
oh gosh,
Because I mean,
not to begin
the
with.
summer's
no.
not long enough to go against all these pools.
Not to begin with. That came a little later.
And so there was an organized thing,
But it was well organized.
like it is today. You would
Yeah,
go to the
it's,
pool,
it's,
tools are
it's
hosed.
all volunteer, and that's the unique part about it. It was all volunteer, and the swimming level was very, very good.
because they were coming out of the lake.
They were, yeah,
These
but,
were lake swimmers. The
yeah,
first
but at the time, if you were a competitive swimmer, you swam for the MAA downtown.
So
And
you started in Western,
Yeah,
and
went
then
to
you worked
LaSalle
at
Park,
LaSalle Park.
and then went to Gables Court.
As far as you know, does anything else, or did anything else like this exist?
No,
Had you heard of any other system in
no,
Canada
No,
that was like
and that
ALPS?
was unique, and it's kind of still is.
Well, the NAA kind of piggybacked, I guess.
Oh yeah,
and,
that came back. That
yeah.
came afterwards.
yeah, but
Yeah.
almost the same.
Almost the same,
concept.
but just a little bit later.
How come when they started building pools, they weren't automatically included into ALPS? Why did they want to
guess it
be
was
different?
just the size of the group. There were a lot of pools. One of the neat things about it all, that it was all volunteer. Okay, we got paid as lifeguards, and the managers got paid, the assistant managers got paid, but they got paid out of the money that people paid for their memberships. Because you had to hire people that were qualified. You had to have your bronze and Red Cross instructors at the time and nationals later on. And I every 2 years you had to recall, and you had to do that on your own dime. And I recalled till I was in my 50s. I was the oldest guy, and I was at Abbott. The last time I recalled at Abbott, I remember I was in with 19-year-olds, and I was 50, okay? So the guy hands everyone a set of fins and said, okay, I want you to do 200 meters fly. And I was 50. It was not a pretty sight, okay? It was not pretty. Or tread water in the deep end, and there's a 20-pound weight, and at the time they had a 5-meter pool, a 5-meter
Board?
board.
Yeah.
It wasn't a board, it was a platform.
Right.
Okay, but we had to tread water in the deep end, duck dive, and get that thing up. And I got a standing ovation from everyone because I was in my early 50s, and going down for that that pool was deep.
At that time, 50 was old. Now it's not so bad.
Yeah, but still,
But at that time, 50 was old.
50 was old. I was in with 19-year-olds doing my recall.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Today they'd applaud the 19-year-olds.
I got a standing O from everyone. But yeah, because I had to keep my swimming qualifications to run Gables Court pool.
Gables Court, you went from working there as a lifeguard? And swim team?
A lifeguard, then I managed the pool. Quote unquote managed the pool. I hired lifeguards to work there.
Was it when they were in ALPS, in the ALPS era?
Yeah.
So when did it stop becoming a competitive pool, Gables Court?
Well, because they ran out of kids. People stopped having big families.
But you stayed as a manager?
I ran the pool. I did the lifeguarding. I did the swimming lessons. I taught the tennis lessons. I physically wheeled the trampoline from BHS down to Gables Court along Beaconsfield Boulevard to do gymnastics lessons. Yeah, here's me pushing a trampoline on wheels down Beaconsfield Boulevard. Oh yeah, stupid stuff. Yeah, but...
And then all the way back up to
back
up to BHS.
Yeah, but I did it because I enjoyed it. Yeah. I couldn't sit still all summer and do nothing.
And now you're how old now?
84 in a couple of months.
And you're still...
I do the maintenance at Gables Court, and I do a maintenance for a gentleman in East Gables Court.
So now someone else manages the pool?
No. They don't do lessons anymore. Nobody's got kids. They
So
have
all you
these
do
big,
is...
huge homes and they might have 1 or 2 kids, and that's it. But the kids, they don't have, I don't know how but they are locked up solid. That pool you don't get into. There's a combination lock that only the parents know, and you don't get into that pool. It's got a 5-foot high fence all around, but they heat it to 80 degrees all summer, and yeah.
And you're still there every morning?
I still do that every day, 7 days a week.
And were you there this morning?
I was there this morning, 7:30. Jill never worked outside the home, so to keep the ship afloat, I did pools in the summer. I've taken 1 summer off since I was 15. Even now, I'm going to be 84 in a couple of months.
So it's just a constant in your life. It's just
the
summertime came.
Summertime
you're
came,
back at the pool.
But I can't sit and do nothing. Jill's going to put me on Ritalin. She's threatened to put me on Ritalin because I'm up at 6 in the morning, 7 days a week. I don't think I've ever slept in, even as a teenager, past 8 o'clock is the latest I've ever slept in my life.
Where do you get that from? That drive.
My dad was military, and you didn't mess with him.
So you think he really left a...
Oh yeah, left a
mark.
Like, man, if he said 8 o'clock, it was 8 o'clock.
So ALPS now has been around almost 70 years.
Yeah. Amazing.
Could you define any particular eras in ALPS? Any big changes? Let's say something happened in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s, or has it always been kind of the same? Or do you remember any?
No, it stayed the same. And the most impressive thing was is that all the meets were and are still run by volunteers. You go to an ALPS meet in Baie-d'Urfé, all the timers are parents, all the stroke and turn judge. My son-in-law is president of ALPS this year, has been president for the last couple of years, and he hasn't even got a swimming background. Okay, he hasn't got a swimming background, but he does meets in Pointe Claire still in the winter, and he does it because he likes it.
So being in ALPS from the very beginning until, I guess, well, because your kids were in it afterwards.
Yeah,
Anyways, at Beau Repair, right?
yeah.
So how does it make you feel now to know that the summer pool thing is still thriving?
I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I'm impressed that they've been able to keep it going. Because in Toronto this doesn't exist, in Ottawa this doesn't exist, but here, and ALPS still goes on. You go to a swim meet, and my gosh, there are a lot of people, and they've got bluefin swimmers, they've got Pointe Claire swimmers. My granddaughter did really well because she was diving Pointe Claire. She was diving for Baie-d'Urfé pool because her dad was the managed, not didn't manage, but he was in charge of Baie-d'Urfé pool. And no, I think it's fantastic that it's still going, and the enthusiasm is still there, and that's kind of neat to see, as for someone my age. Is neat to see. Anyway, I think I'm through. I'm done.